I got the sizing die set in there with the stem to punch out that primer. The tube runs down, you can see it right here, into the garbage can. Garbage can is full, needs to be emptied. I'll do that later. And we got our brass. We got one shot. We have our calipers with the shoulder comparator, and that's the Hornady. We have our Sheridan die, or case gauge for quick reference. This little thing right here is what I actually use to remove the primers one at a time. And I brought it out because I wanted to show you. A lot of times what I do is I wash the brass later with just the stainless steel pins. I don't wash it twice, oftentimes. And I use this tool so I don't get my press all dirty when I'm running range brass, picked up stuff. It's got a bunch of dirt and grime and stuff in there. I'll use this thing to punch out those primers, and then I'll run it with the stainless steel media before I do anything else. So it's kind of confusing. I kind of jump around a little bit, and you will too if you're reloading. So, but what I wanted to show you, I pulled this one out. This is that some of that stuff from the gun show that my friend bought, and that's what it looks like with the primer not in there versus like something like that. That's a brass on brass, meaning brass primer and a brass head stamp. See if I can find, there's a nickel. That's a nickel on brass. So as you can see, we got all sorts here, but I need to punch the primers on all of them and push that shoulder back. Now, I was getting a lot of grief on TikTok about the overall length being too long. And that's why I was having issues with the chambering. That's not the case at all. And this gauge is actually pretty cool. You can kind of see right there, there's a line right there. That is, if the case actually touches that line, it's poking out the back, then our trim to length is actually too long. But the problem that we were actually having was that it was not, the shoulder was connecting in weird places because it was fired out of a different chamber, right? So you actually use this thing right here. This is the Hornady headspace comparator, and that gives me an accurate measurement from the center of the shoulder. Get a piece of brass here and show you from the center of the shoulder, from like right there. If the camera would focus, from right there at the center of the shoulder to the base. So that's what this measures. And you just simply screw that on there, set the head stamp. You got all different kinds, there are sizes here. See if I can pull this down a little bit and kind of see. One-handed is tough. It would help if I took the base off. I was jamming this into the mat here. I'm like, why isn't it moving? So basically you just stick it in there and measure the head stamp up against the side of the caliper, and it gives you a measurement. So we'll be using that to make sure that our die is actually pushing that shoulder back in the spec. So, but I like the Sheridan case gauge. This one has not been sized, so as you can see, it hasn't been sized yet. You can see a gap in there, and the base here is clearly sticking out, and I don't want to jam it in there anymore because I won't get it out. I'll have to use like a dowel or something to punch it. But once we run it through a sizing die, we'll put it back in there, and it should be perfect. So first things first though, we need to get a bunch of this brass into this bag, spray it with some one shot, put it up there, let those fall down. Now this is set to 30-06. You got 223, 357, and 30 cal. And you can see I actually removed some of the material there for the 30 cal. I'm gonna drop a piece of brass. And it does feed, but I still need to trim some off of that to make it work. But I just found that if I just click it over to that's gonna be locked in there for a second. If I just click this over, that is 45.9 pistol. If I just click it over to 30-06, that's wide open. You can see that's what I'm talking about, these little cutouts here. So that one's wide open. So they should simply fall right in without falling over. So not a big deal. I just run it on the 30-06 one. So all right, let's get these in a bag and spray some one shot. All right, here we go. I'm going to grab some brass, chuck it in there. Yeah, it's probably good. Close it up part way. I like the little ones with sliders, makes it easy. Shake it up. So this stuff is actually pretty awesome, this one-shot case lube. You know, it says right there, will not contaminate powders or primers, but I still get a lot of grief in the comments about, you know, using this on brass, not washing the brass, and then loading powder. So we'll just go ahead and spray some in there. Doesn't take a lot. It's kind of, you want everything wet. That's kind of the point. Close it up the rest of the way. That should be good. If I find that when I'm pulling on the handle, if there's a lot of resistance, then I'll try to add a little more. But I can see like the inside of the bag is pretty wet. These are all pretty wet. So now we just gotta take them out of the bag. Yeah, those are slicked up good. We gotta take them out of the bag, put them up into the case feeder, and we'll be ready to go. I've showed this case feeder quite a bit. This case feeder was designed by 3D Reloaded. It's 3D printed. Jeff over there is really easy to work with. Him and I think a partner of his makes all these like in their garage kind of a thing. So if you're interested in getting one of these, I highly recommend them. Thousands of cases have gone through this case feeder. I've not had a single problem. I've had to do a little bit of tuning here and there with it. Some trimming like I was talking about before, and a little bit of lubrication on like this shuttle right here, like a little bit of one shot, just squirt it in there, fine. Just make it slide a little easier, not a big deal. Maybe a little sanding, I don't know. It's been a while since I've done anything like that to it, honestly, just because it works. So, and it's not noisy. It's noisy at first when you're putting all the brass in there, but like the Hornady one, it's got that motor in there that keeps running every time it needs a case, you know, kicks on and it's loud. And it doesn't feed nearly as well. So, but I've shown this thing a lot. So it's pretty simple. Physics, gravity pulls the heavy part down first on the cases, and they just fall right in perfectly. If something, if one of them falls upside down, it's not a big deal because they simply just topple over as soon as they hit the shell plate, and you just pick them up and put them right back up into the funnel, and they come falling down to the next tube. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this all loaded up. Just like that, now ready to go. All right, let's go. Let's see how these work. A little snug. We're gonna check this one really quick. First thing we'll do is we'll stick it in the case gauge. Yeah, it's not very good. Let's run another one. That first one felt really hard. This one, a little better. It's a different head stamp. Let's see what it shows. Yeah, so this one is perfect. So, but for this one here, that didn't fit very well in the gauge. Let's take another look at that. And you can see that it's pooched out there. The shoulder doesn't fit. It's not up to that line, so it's not bottoming out there. So, I'm gonna try and run this through the sizing die again. I'm gonna set it aside for now. And let's check this one. Oh, that fell off. Well, here, I'll run this first one through there since it didn't feed a... All right, now let's check it. Same deal, it's not... My shoulder's not getting pushed back, or it's not conforming to the case very well. Okay, so I have a problem. These aren't fitting my case gauge after sizing, and I'm not sure why. You can see that they're proud here. The measurement on them, so this is a good one. That one fits, it's good. It looks good to the case gauge. This one is a Hornady. So let's take a measurement of what this one's supposed to be. This Hornady. Put it in there. Try and do this around a tripod. .360, and actually, since we know that that's good, we will go ahead and zero that. Now let's take a look at this one that won't conform to the case gauge. And we're 2 thousandths over, almost 3 thousandths over. So that's a problem, because the die is set up, and I ran this one through it twice, or yeah, so this is like IK07 something, probably Russian, 762 by 51, which is 308, and it just won't fit in there even after annealing and sizing. So that's a bummer. Hornady, just ran through the sizer, and it looks good. Hornady looks good. Just this one that it went through it but didn't look good. I'm gonna have to keep that aside. I don't want to have to check every single one of these. Let's run this one. Check it. It is a PSD, and it's good. This is that other one. It's not good. So I'm not sure actually what's going on with these pieces of brass. Boy, that one was really stiff. I'm going to check these ones. Hornady, good. That one's good. And that's PA. Just a mix of crap brass. This one's not good. It's almost good. I can slightly see a gap in there. But it's thick and proud. So I guess I'm gonna have to check every single one of these, because I guarantee that these ones that stick proud won't chamber. So I'm not sure what to do about them yet. I'll have to talk to my friend, see if he wants me to load them and try them anyway. So, all right, I'm gonna run through these and we'll be back later. All right, and just like that, we sized all these. I gotta say, I've had a lot of trouble with these rounds. These ones here, they didn't size right, and I had a problem in the Sheridan case gauge where they just won't go flush. So I'm not sure why. I separated them out. I gauged every single one of these. The majority of them are all great. Like, we'll take a look at this one here. Get in there. It gauged just fine. As you can see, it's actually flush there. And so what I think I'm going to do is actually run these bad, quote unquote, bad ones back through the annealer and see if maybe we're just trying to push that shoulder too far. Softening them, maybe helping, to try and run them through the sizing die again. I tried running them through the sizing die once again, but it didn't work. So the press just simply cams over and doesn't push that shoulder back anymore. That's probably 50 rounds or so that we kind of need for this event. I think we just need to anneal them, and then we'll try it again. So let's go ahead over to the annealer. All right, so the annealer's still set up from the last time that we were annealing brass, these pieces of brass. So not a lot has changed. Everything's still set exactly the same way. But I did take a couple of pieces of brass and I put some Templac in them just to make sure that we are getting to temperature. So that should put that argument to rest. And I'm sure someone's going to say, why do you paint the inside, not the outside? So I went ahead and painted one on the outside, and we will take a look at it towards the end here. I also painted the inside, so hopefully that the camera's picking that up okay. So we'll see what happens to this stuff on the outside. Open it wide open. All right, let's check it. Make sure that we're actually getting to the temperature. Just melted. So we are right there. Perfect. Let's confirm it. That's another one with Templac. Just melted. Perfect timing. Like, you can't get any more perfect than that. So let's go ahead and run these again. And actually, we're gonna slow it down just a smidgen. I wanna make sure that we are getting these nice and hot. Like I said, you really can't overdo it unless you turn it to cherry red. We'll just throw these in there. Now they do have lubricant on them, so they might not spin as well. I just remembered that. Okay, so I got a paper towel here, and I was just wiping off I cleaned the roller, I emptied the tray, and I'm using a paper towel to wipe off the lubricant. Let's see how this one does now. There we go, that's a little better. Let's make sure now we've done a bunch. We're gonna grab another one with Templac in there. Make sure that we're okay and put that in the mix. That one's coming up right now. We're looking at it. It's not spinning so great. It just melted. So it's a little slow, but it wasn't spinning so well. That one I didn't wipe off the lubricant. That one's spinning great. We'll do the one with Templac on the case neck last. And there goes the last one, but we still got this one. This is the one that's got the Templac on the inside and on the outside. Let's watch very closely as to what happens to this Templac in direct flame. So there it is, drops in, it turns black, and then melts. All right, we're all done. We'll go ahead and close this down. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of painting the outside of the case neck with the Templac stuff. It just turns black and doesn't really show well. If it stayed green and it was easier to see, maybe. It does melt off. It does work, but when exposed to direct flame, it just blackens almost immediately. And it makes it really hard to see. And if it's really hard to see, how are you gonna know when it melts off? You gotta be really looking for it. Inside the case mouth, it stays green and you can clearly see it melt. And then you know also that the temperature actually got all the way through. I'm gonna turn this off. Now that the flame's dead, so you can actually hear me. But honestly, I don't really use the Templac anymore. I just go off of the color of the flame that comes off of the brass. And that tells me if I'm right in there. And we proved it with the Templac, showing that I got to 750 degrees Fahrenheit, I believe. Yeah, 750 Fahrenheit right there, if it'll focus. So, you know, and like, again, going hotter isn't so bad. It's really hard to over anneal your brass. It's really easy to under anneal your brass. You actually want to make sure you're getting hot enough. So with these pieces of brass here, now I'm gonna let these cool in their tray. Actually, yeah, no, I'm just gonna let them cool. It's probably gonna take a few minutes, and then we'll come right back over here to the reloading bench and run them through the sizing die once again and check them with the gauge, and hopefully they turn out. All right, so let's take a look at these. I got them back in the bag, got them lubricated. Let's see what this one looks like in the gauge. Put it in. It's not quite flush. Shoulder doesn't touch all the way around on the gauge. I'm going to run it through the press. Okay, out of the press, and no big difference. It's a little bit better. All right, so let's get another one. All right, so this one's bad, right? It's really bad. It doesn't even hit the shoulder. It's sticking out, I don't know, 1/4 inch. Let's run it through the die. Let's see where it falls. Same thing. Like, I don't know what's going on with this piece of brass at all. It's okay on the case mouth. I'm not seeing any dents or dings that would prevent it from going in there. It's just not going in there at all. Let me run it through again. Really crank down on it. Same thing. So I don't know. I dropped it. Some of this brass isn't horrible. Let's check that one. That one's proud and sticking up there a little bit. The shoulder's not hitting. Run it through the die again, and it's the exact same as it was before. So I'm not sure what to do with this brass. I'm gonna contact my friend and see, because I'm gonna count it up, contact him, and see what he wants to do, because I don't think this will actually chamber in his rifle. This is the pieces that I was running just a second ago, and it's all the same. It doesn't quite go flush. Yeah, I'm just gonna count them up and say, hey, this is how many pieces of brass that I don't think are gonna work. What do you want to do about it? And either he gets me new brass. I don't see, the problem is I don't know what's wrong with this brass. It's all mixed. I don't know why it's not working. Why it's not, that shoulder's not bumping. If you think you have a theory, let me know in the comments below.